Schmitz, resistancebandtraining.com. I hope all you guys are doing great today. I'm just finishing up with a little linear speed work right here in the resistance band training laboratory. I had a great question this week from an email guest who asked me, Dave, what's the difference between putting the band at the hip and putting the band in either a half harness or a full harness? It's a great question. It's a great question, and it's all about drivers. That's what it comes down to. You know, we talk about how the band drives function. Well, it's a perfect example of how you want to drive function and where you want to drive function. Now, let me take you through it real briefly. If I put the band at my hips, the band is now below my center of gravity, okay? So what's going to happen is everything from the band up is really either being driven from my arms, okay, or it's not being driven that much at all. Everything from the band down is. Well, look at where the band is coming. It's coming right at my hip crease, which means that as I go to explode and drive up that arm, I'm going to drive that band forward and it's going to engage through my butt. So putting the band at your hip is a much more effective way to drive through your hips and get hip extension, triple extension if you will. Great way to go it. Now you got your arms swinging, no question you're going to get a driver from the upper body through your arms. But that's what's going to happen with that. Now, let's take it up to the half harness. Now, the band is above my center of gravity. So everything from the band up is going to get impacted. Well, you can immediately see that the band is pulling me back. So guess what? Trunk has got to activate. That's why I always tell you, start with running at the hips, because what will happen is as soon as you put the band up here and give it a harness, your athletes are going to, and your adults are going to do one of two things. They're either going to have a strong enough trunk so they can stay up tall and drive, or what they're going to do is they're going to drop into this position and run like this because they don't want to engage their trunk because they don't trust it. So what happens is they curl up and they get into this running position. That's why you want to go away from the harness, go down onto your hips to get their hips activated first. Great way to go ahead and get going with that. And then you can always go ahead, hook the bands up and do some upper body pressing and then some hip stabilization, or excuse me, some hip activation with running. I'll come with you on a couple of cardio strength circuits in the future here where we activate that and give you some more insight on that. But that's why you want to go with the hip versus the half harness. My recommendation is on your adults, make sure you go with the hip and make sure you make it a stationary run, a power skip. Don't let them go back and forth too much. Last thing, you see me hooked onto one band, you see me using a red band. Please guys, demoing it only. I don't run in the red band unless I am just trying to warm up and I make sure I stay within a well-distanced stretch of this band. Too many people are running in red bands and crushing them and tearing them apart. Guys, this is only a 15, 20-pound band. You should easily be able to run quite a bit in it. Don't overload it. It's going to stretch out, okay? So please, protect your bands. Start using the hip attachment. Get those hips activated and let's see what happens.